that's how the turtle saved us. But I mean, there are just some places I would never go. And, you know, we all like to act brave. Oh, I'd go into that haunted house. I'd go into that spooky alley. I mean, and I've gone to my fair share of spooky places just out of curiosity. And, you know, we just don't believe that anything's going to happen. But in this case, you know, there's like video proof. People disappear. You go through that door. You go through door 402. You may never come back. But since nobody's come back, maybe it's all nonsense. And I could see myself not wanting to do this one. I'd be on the fence. I mean, there's a lot of things I wouldn't do. I wouldn't climb the outside of a skyscraper or do jumping jacks on a cop car. I mean, there's just things that I wouldn't do. So I would, however, watch a movie about someone else doing it, especially if it was real, especially if it was live streamed. Oh, I'm tuning in for sure. They're going to go into a forbidden place and everyone tunes in. Everyone is checking it out. And we're going to figure out whether you should watch it or not. This is the central question on every one of our videos. In this case, are you committed to the asylum? You're just in it for good. You just got to see this thing. Or are you too lucid to be committed to an asylum? And this is just not for you. You're too sane. There is actually a slight third category in this case. Yeah, there's the people who are committed to the asylum. Yeah, there are people too lucid to go. It might be for you, it might not be. But there's also a third that, well, we'll get into it here. I'll cover it near the end. This is going to be, as usual, a spoiler-free review. And I'm going to talk about the movie and talk about how it was recreated at one point in another country, but it can never be recreated at that same site. Because the door, number 402... But before we get into that, hi, my name's CJ. I am your movie god for the Found Footage broadcast. And if you've subscribed, you are already a member of the cult of the movie god. So welcome, my fellow Found Footage fanatics. Now hit the button below. You know the one. And roll the intro. Here we go. Oh, we're finally doing Gonjiam, Haunted Asylum. Oh, this guy's a classic. I mean, like, if you are a found footage fan, this is on your required viewing list. And there's no arguing it. This is the movie people refer to the most as one of their, like, scariest found footage movies. It always ends up there. Now, this is the third time I've seen it. I don't really know if I feel that way anymore because, I mean, I see all the gags coming, right? You know, it's just one of those things. But having said that, I have to say, even though this is the third time I've seen it, I think I was more impressed than the second time I saw it. You know, the second time I saw it, I'm like, yeah, I remember this part. Yeah, I remember this part. But the third time, I think I got past the initial obvious gags, the obvious things. Like, there's the one face you see on every thumbnail about Gonjiam Haunted Asylum. This face right here. You see it every single time, and good reason. It sticks in your head. When it happens in the movie, it's set up perfectly. It hangs in the air perfectly. It gets under your skin. So valid. Now that it's the third time, you just see it as like, oh yeah, that thing. But it leaves you emotional room to absorb the other things. And I found myself on this third watch really appreciating the artistry and the set design and in the other more subtle gags that they set up and the other more subtle scares. It's a good looking movie, just so gorgeous. I mean, good looking in the same way that like a dilapidated building with some blood on the wall is good looking. But yeah, I mentioned before that room 402 can never be opened again. There's an amazing story behind this. So the movie comes out and everyone wants to go. Everyone wants to see the building. It's not open for the public. You know, they filmed on the outside, but most of this movie was actually filmed in a school somewhere. It's a condemned building, and they had plumbing problems, and that's why it closed down. There was plumbing and sewage problems that couldn't be rectified because of a bunch of bureaucracy nonsense I won't get into, so they had to shut the place down. No cursed backdrop, nobody was abusing patients, and that's why they had to shut it down, nothing like that. I hate to spoil it for you. In real life, it's not that scary. In the movie, it is. In the movie, oh, super spooky. But in real life, it's just a building that they couldn't use anymore, and the guy was just having a hard time selling, and he really wanted to. He was hoping to sell it to someone at some point. But then tourists started coming around, and it became a real hassle for the small town that this building's in. The locals started refusing to tell anyone how to find it, which only made the rumors persist that, oh my God, it really is haunted and everybody needed to see it. They just eventually bulldozed the whole building. However, having said that, there's a spiritual sequel, remake, adaptation out there that I will tell you about a little bit, but let's actually get into the movie itself because, I mean, come on, it's an amazing movie. So we get the group of vloggers that are getting together. They're going to do a live stream of yet another haunting investigation. I guess that's their whole shtick, is they do live haunt investigations, and they're very, very popular. And there's like 3 of them, but they invite like another 4 people on that are a mix of fans and influencers to come on this particular journey. They all get together at a restaurant, they have a good time, it's a lot of laughs, a lot of fun, and then on the way to the Asylum, they go on a road trip, have road trip hijinks, stop off at a water park thing. And this part of the movie, it seems really long the first time you see the movie because there's no plot being unveiled. They give you a little backdrop. Oh, it's one of the most haunted places in the world. Oh, people who go and try to get into room 402 are never heard from again. And you see like a little clip of a couple of guys who tried to get in and were never heard from again. So like, okay, maybe it's real. And great, but for the most part, at the beginning, we're just hanging out, goofing around, joking around, having a good time. And that is very boring to most viewers. Now, in almost every other case, when I've seen this done in a found footage movie, it's terrible. It's terrible. What was that movie? There it is. Real Cases of the Shadow People, the Sarah McCormick story. That movie was 95% just a bunch of college students on the road, going on a road trip, doing nothing of interest. And yeah, look, they're in a park. Oh, look, they're having a meal somewhere. And every once in a while, they'll stop and they'll interview someone. But if that interview gets too interesting, they leave. It was just a pile of suck. In this case, however, the role that this plays, this first little bit of them just doing a little road trip and getting to know each other, just set a mood that they break intentionally. And here's the thing that you don't realize on your first viewing. That first bit, it's like 17 minutes. That's it. After that, they start climbing a hill and the music is gone now. And it's all a little bit of a drudge. It's a little bit of a trek and they're not enjoying themselves anymore. And it's still kind of funny, you know, they're like, oh my God, this is exhausting. I didn't realize it was an athletic competition, you know. And then they set up and it's getting dark. They're in a tent and they feel all cozy in the tent, but there's already, we start establishing more contrast as they start leaving that tent and going through the woods and sneaking into the building just to set up the initial cameras. And it's dark and it's already everything that the atmosphere is already transforming, even though nothing spooky has happened. We're already kind of on the edges of our seats now because things have changed. The atmosphere, the mood has changed, even though it's the same characters. And I wanted to get to know these people, man. I wanted to hang out with them a little bit. They're really good actors. I don't know any of their names. Gotta admit, I didn't know any of the character names. Whatever. But yeah, they were fun, good actors. And then we get into it. So once they get inside, you know, it's like, oh, a dilapidated building. Oh, it's so dark. Oh, it's so spooky. And then they get a slamming door in the background. And they're like, well, we're all standing right here. How did that even happen? And they go and they do a ritual to summon up the spirits. And it all goes horribly, horribly wrong. And it makes for great video. And, you know, for the most part, all we're looking at is things that move by themselves, sounds that come from nowhere, candles that blew themselves out, even though there's no possible way for a breeze to enter the room. Just little subtle things like that. And then we get a red herring. And then things escalate. At this point, right after the red herring, things get scary. Like, the fear becomes physical. People start getting hurt. Stuff gets stuck to the ceiling and then drop back down. And they start to realize, oh my God, this is real. We need to leave. And 2 of them, to their credit, get out. But the building won't let them leave. And so now we've got another step up in the stakes. The stakes have risen once again. Now we can't leave the building. And sure, up to this point, no one's dead, but they're all getting a little banged up and now they can't leave. And now we just worry about things getting worse. That's the thing that most found footage movies, hell, most horror movies don't get right, is that step up of stakes. Usually a horror movie, killer comes in, starts killing people. Well, that's as bad as it can get, so it can't get much worse. So we just sort of, all right, let's see where this goes. But in this case, you know, maybe they could leave. Maybe it won't be so bad. Maybe they'll just go a little crazy and be scarred for life, and they'll tell the story with sincere, doughy eyes to the camera at the end. But no, man. People start getting got by the building. Now, as far as the specific gags go, I won't spoil any of them. Let's just say that there are some great practical effects. There are great cinematic effects in this movie that just they're just great. They're just gorgeous looking. Some of the coolest scares and coolest creepy moments I've seen in any horror movie or found footage movie. They really serve it up here and give you your entertainment dollar. But if I say any more, I'll be spoiling it. So it's time to ask the big question, the main question, the only question that matters. Should you watch it? Well, you know, you've been committed to the Asylum if you like a good scare. And if you're okay with tension, building and building and building. You know, my wife hates tension. She can't even watch a drama that has too much tension. You know, it's not for her. So you have to be okay with mounting tension. Now, you also have to be able to empathize with characters, because if you don't care what happens to people on screen, you don't care about this, you won't feel any tension. But overall, I think this is the thing. If you're a found footage fan of any kind, first of all, you have to see this or you're out of the cult. All right? You have to see it. But also, if you like a good scare, this delivers. I mean, this is legitimate stuff. A really good horror movie. You are, however, too lucid for this movie if you just don't like tension. If you're the kind of person who just wants to relax in front of a found footage movie and just see where it all goes. This movie doesn't let you relax. The stakes increase and the atmosphere shifts at such a rate that you intuitively just want to see where it goes. You're on the edge of your seat, you know. This is not going to let you lean back. So if you are just not into tension-based entertainment today, give it a miss. And there is a third group that's lucid, but you might want to be committed. And that's the folk that just are too impatient to get past that first bit. People who've seen the movie or who've seen other movies where a bunch of teenagers are hanging out and they're just chatting and, you know, nothing's happening. We haven't moved forward. If that's for you, skip ahead to about the 17-minute mark. For you, that's where the movie starts. Welcome to the Asylum. Oh, and one more thing, I almost forgot. The sequel. Well, not really a sequel. A remake, but not really a remake. It's something made in the Philippines. So what's the title? Strange Frequencies Taiwan Killer Hospital. Now, I did a written review of this one last year. It is very similar to Gonjiam Haunted Asylum. Obviously, filmed in a completely different place with a completely different crew and a completely different set of actors. The tone was similar. I found it actually in many ways a little bit bigger budget. I think I'd just put it that way. I think they had a little bit more money for effects in that movie. So you could say it was like Gonjiam, but cleaned up a little bit more spectacular. Maybe that makes it lose a little bit of its grunginess. I don't know, but it's definitely worth checking out. So that title again was, what was it? Strange Frequencies, Taiwan Killer Hospital. It's worth checking out. It's pretty cool. Well, I think it's time for me, as your movie god, to induct this movie into a holy order. And so, Gonjiam Haunted Asylum, I hereby induct thee into the sacred order of the Locked Ward. Now go and tempt explorers into your dark depths. Long may you feed on their corpses. As for the rest of you, like, sub, super thanks, join, comment, hype. Every little click is a sin scrubbed off your soul. But if you really want to ascend, check out the Patreon. I'm going to start putting behind the scenes stuff for the Movie God channel right there on Patreon. It's the only place you're going to find it. Members on YouTube, however, are going to start being able to see these videos a little bit before everyone else. So it's something to consider. All right, my fellow found footage fanatics, thank you so much. If you're still watching, thank you for being here with me. Check out the rest of the channel. We've got a ton more of these videos just waiting for you to binge. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.